drafting your blueprint for blended learning, Module 1, Lesson 1. For this module, we are going to be using the Blended Learning Blueprint resource. Pause right now and take a chance to make a copy of this template for your Google Drive. To do that, click on the link, and once the file loads, press Use Template, and this will copy the entire file into your Google Drive. In this lesson, we're going to be exploring the building blocks for success in blended learning. First, you'll want to know your why, or the philosophy behind why you are choosing to adopt blended learning. You'll be creating a timeline for implementation as a goal. You're going to think about ways that you can scale the process to fit your needs. You'll work towards identifying priority standards to cover in blended learning. You'll consider the summative assessment and identify critical themes or units for an entire course. So the first thing we want to do is we want to understand why we are working to implement blended learning. Start with identifying or considering your core values as an educator. This resource provides a great starting point for thinking of words that represent your values as an educator. Once you have your core values identified, you'll be able to work towards crafting a vision for your work. So let's talk about vision statements. Vision statements look to the future. They are short, no more than 2 to 3 sentences. They identify your overarching goal for your students, and they represent your core values. An example structure for a vision statement are to include an active verb plus your core values plus your goal for blended learning. Let's take a look at a sample. A sample vision statement might be to engage students in learning that nurtures autonomy, choice, and meaningful work. I will incorporate blended learning strategies in at least 4 units this year. This sample includes active verbs to engage, nurture, will incorporate. It also includes core values, autonomy, choice, and meaningful work. Finally, it has a blended learning goal, which is to implement the blended learning in at least 4 units. Right now, pause and record your thinking on the Lesson 1 tab of your blended learning blueprint. List 3 to 4 core values underneath the core values section. Answer the question, how does blended learning support your core values? And finally, draft your vision statement. Once you've identified your initial thoughts around blended learning and the reason why you're doing it, you can go on to set a goal or a timeline for the success. It's helpful to think about what you're going to do in the first 14 days after working through this module to help yourself begin using blended learning. Once you've identified your 14-day goal, think about a 30, 60, and 90-day goal. Pause and reflect every now and then to readjust your goals if you need to. Pause and record your 14-day goal in the Lesson 1 tab. Your timeline can go underneath Timeline for Implementation and choose as many goals as you would like, but at least write down a 14-day goal so that you know you're going to get started. Once you've identified why you are doing blended learning and your vision for the work, you'll want to think about how you can scale the process to be successful. So you could just dive into creating one lesson for the process. You might develop an entire unit plan, or you could plan for the whole year. Looking ahead in Module 2, you'll cover some lesson and weekly planning strategies and assessment strategies that will help you. In Module 5, you're going to cover different blended learning structures that will help plan for a unit. If we take a look at a sample unit plan, you can make a copy of this template and use it. You can press Use Template and make a copy to your drive so that you can customize it to fit your needs. In this unit plan, we begin by identifying standards and objectives that we think are important for the particular unit and tie that to key themes or objectives that are critical for the coursework. You will then identify the summative assessment that you'll use for the unit and potential products or alternative assessments that you might consider using with your students. This unit planner also includes an assessment map so that you can identify formative assessments that will help make sure students are on track, and a place for you to record things like major milestones, a unit calendar, and a place to identify what kind of blended learning model that you would like to work with. That would be a good way for you to get your feet wet with using a unit planner for blended learning. The other thing you might do is you might plan for the entire year. When you plan for the entire year, there's a little bit more that goes into the process. When we plan for the year, you're going to want to gather resources like your district curriculum maps, textbooks, a department or grade level priority list, and you can make use of this course planner to help you. Here, things are broken down into the first, second, and third 9 weeks, where you can brainstorm your standards, your summative assessments, performance tasks, and then you could also place links to specific unit planners. So you might be asking yourself, what are priority standards and how do those fit into blended learning? Priority standards are a selected subset of the standards that represent assured student competencies for future success. With these priority standards, students demonstrate understanding on meaningful assessments, and these standards are typically repeated through the year to ensure mastery. Supporting standards enhance the priority standards and are taught within the context of the priority standards. In short, what priority standards are the basic things that students must know to be successful in future coursework. Summative assessments establish the benchmarks that help monitor student understanding of priority standards. We want to utilize a backward design model when developing our blended learning course. Our summative assessments also help to drive curriculum development and resource use. They may be district or school determined common assessments. For more information on the use of backward design, check out this link from the Call to Pedagogy. The last thing you might want to determine as you develop an entire course on blended learning would be the themes and units that you'll use for the year. These themes and units provide an outline for the quarter, semester, or year. You might start with an existing syllabus or school-approved curriculum and consider the distribution of your priority standards across. Again, you might choose to make use of this course planner to help you plan out the 4 quarters of work. This concludes Lesson 1, Module 1. For your self-assessment, you'll use the Blended Learning Blueprint and begin to identify your core values, write down your vision for your work, develop your goals to get started, and begin maybe breaking down assessments in units. At the end of the module, you'll have an assessment where you'll be able to identify your core values, write down your vision, and share your 14-day goal to get you started with blended learning. Feel free at any time to go back and review this coursework or to look at the slide deck. Thank you for joining us for Module 1, Lesson 1.